folks that are going to give us some great information. We have, let me introduce Ken Porter, retired Navy veteran, third class petty officer. How are you, sir?
It's great to be back, Cliff.
Good to see you again. Everything going well?
Yeah, everything's good.
Good. And we have Briani Bell, who is a marketing professional and military veteran with 6 years of experience in the United States Navy as a Master of Arms. She recently returned from a year-long mobilization overseas and is wrapping up the process of reintegrating into civilian life post-military mobilization. Ms. Bell, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
We have to tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself. And what does a Master of Arms do? See, I'm an Army person. I have no idea.
I feel like the best way to explain it is just that it's the security forces aspect of the Navy. So, law enforcement.
Oh, security within the Navy.
Yes.
Okay.
But, of course, depending on, like, what base you're on, your rank, your responsibilities are going to change.
So you mean you go around making sure that people aren't doing anything wrong?
I guess you could say that.
How did you end up with that? That's
Well, actually, before I even joined the Navy, Kenny is actually the person that kind of inspired me to even enlist. So he was more of like a mentor to me.
Okay.
But as far as me becoming a Master at Arms, it was something that was offered to me, so I just took it. I honestly didn't even know what it was really going to be like until I actually started getting training for it.
Well, that's right. Kenny, you the one who...
I take no credit for anybody joining the military.
But are you the one who... It seems as though she's saying you're the one who convinced her to...
No, I was inspired
Oh,
by
you said
him.
inspired.
I was inspired by him enlisting and just how it changed him as a person.
Oh, okay.
And so that's what, sparked my interest in enlisting. So I had asked him questions about the reserves, and it went from there. But I signed because I wanted to. I'm just saying that.
Okay, but you're saying that
Yeah.
it changed him in a positive way.
Yes.
Yeah, I had been in 2 years at that point, I think.
Okay.
So I did it.
And you all knew each other before.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I had we had met each other at school, and then I left and drove my mom crazy because I left school to join the military, but then I came back. And yeah, I guess after 2 years of being in, we started having conversations about why the heck I did it, and what you could get out of it. And
Where were you in school at the time?
Downstate, down in Illinois State, down in Normal.
Normal?
Yeah,
Okay.
so 2 hours south of here. Yeah, it's hard to believe that.
So you were both there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to believe that she's been in 6 years now.
Time goes by so fast.
That's
It really
amazing.
does.
Yeah, you're gonna get to put retired in front of your name soon if you get out.
I didn't re-enlist.
So going back to you, Brianna,
Yes.
So they told you about this Master at Arms, and you didn't really know what it was. And
I knew that it was law enforcement related, but as far as like the actual responsibilities of it, I wasn't really sure about that. So of course, you go through the training aspect of it. So I mean, I always felt confident in my job in the Navy, and I still do to this day. And I think that me having the mobilization experience is what really helped my confidence in that job, because you're literally doing the job every single day, and you are almost as if you are active duty.
Yeah. So you mentioned you just came back from mobilization. Did you feel prepared for that? That was one of those things where I know it's a lot of people have varying opinions about whether the military is doing a good job of supporting folks when they go and whether they come back. So did you feel prepared to go?
To be honest with you, when I enlisted, I didn't even know that you could get deployed as a reservist. And I didn't find that out until years later. And that's no one's fault but my own for not knowing that. It wasn't like a secret or hidden information. I just didn't know that. So when I did get deployed, they had like a deployment readiness training that I went to in New Orleans, and that was just a way for you to understand like what you were going to be doing, how long you were going to be gone, how to take care of your finances while you're gone, how to deal with transitioning back into the workspace and just going back from being a active duty person to civilian.
So you weren't really aware of the fact,
No.
Brianna, that you, as a reservist, you could be shipped out?
Not in this aspect. I thought that it would only happen if it were something like a terrorist attack on the States.
Okay.
So something like 9/11, if it would happen
Yeah,
again, I
you
thought
knew
that,
that,
oh, okay,
but you just
obviously
didn't think that
that's
your
the whole
unit could be
purpose of,
called.
the ready reserves. But I didn't know that it could happen at any other time in my career.
Where was your reserve unit stationed before you
Great-
shipped out?
Great Lakes.
At Great Lakes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, about an hour north of here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So what, how did you feel about that when you found out you were leaving? You had to put all the things in order so you could, it's a lot different than managing your life back at home. How did you work things out while you were gone?
I was nervous initially. It's funny because I was actually at work at the time and my phone kept ringing. And I was like, why is the reserve unit at Great Lakes calling me? Like, usually they don't call you unless it's something very important or maybe you forgot to do a training or something. So they kept calling me and I was like, why do I keep calling? Let me just answer the phone. So I answered the phone and they're like, yeah, you just got picked up for this mobilization. You're leaving in March. At the time it was October. This is everything that you have to complete before you leave. Be ready. And that was it. So I knew about the information and I was nervous just because I had to leave so many things back at home. But I knew that I was going to get through it. And then, of course, I had other friends in the military, especially I have friends in all the branches, but in the Navy specifically that had already been mobilized before. So I asked them everything that I needed to know, and they helped guide me in the right direction.
What was the most difficult part about your mobilization?
I would say probably feeling like you're missing out on things that are going on back home because you're so far away from everyone. And then, of course, you're put into, you're not really in your comfort zone anymore. I would also say just wondering how your relationships or friendships are going to be when you return back home because you're not really the same anymore.
Well, did you have any issues managing your life back home while abroad? Because things were still going on and you had to keep in contact.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause there's laws for all that stuff, but it doesn't mean that people know them or are applying them correctly. So.
Right. I would say financially that wasn't difficult for me, when it comes to deferring student loans and, dealing with your car payments and all of that or whatever. That wasn't difficult for me. I think it was more of just like the personal relationships that I had that I was concerned about. So.
And how did those work out?
It went well. I feel like everyone well, in life, I feel like, as you grow,
Oh, yeah, sure.
things
Yeah.
change. So it's
What
fine.
was the most difficult part of your mobilization? Because you didn't anticipate that. Come on.
He's like,
You
give me
know
more.
what? Actually, I would say, aside from just dealing with personal friendships and relationships back at home, I would say transitioning from corporate America to a deployed environment.
Okay.
Because the job that I do in the Navy is not anything related to what I do in my everyday
What did
career.
you do? What is your career?
So I work in marketing, particularly digital communications. So
Okay.
I'm always working with technology. And I work at a law firm, corporate law firm.
Okay.
So just being in that setting, a professional setting, and then transitioning to a deployed environment where everything is based on rank, it's totally different.
The thing I don't understand about that, what gets me on that, Brianna, is the fact that you had, and Ken, she had a great job.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
your MOS military occupational specialist certainly could have been in the Navy or any other. I don't know why they wouldn't do that.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I was a logistics specialist. I do civic engagement with young people for a day job. So, and the thing was, also I have a communication background too. So it would have been making a lot of sense for us to be mass communication specialists in the
Sure.
Navy, which is actually an undermanned job in the Navy. But I was in an overmanned job, and I tried to switch.
Yeah.
MA as well. But they don't make it easy for you to switch. But yeah, it would be ideal for your what you're doing in your civilian life to complement what you're doing in your military life.
Certainly.
But yeah, it
makes
doesn't happen that
makes
way
a lot of
frequently.
sense to do
Right.
that, and you're more valuable to the military with something.
Exactly. I feel like if they would focus more on that, putting people in rates that complement what they do in their civilian career or what they're good at,
Exactly.
there would be a lot happier sailors.
I would think so. Really. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
What was the most difficult part about your mobilization?
Well, what about like when you got
I'm
back?
talking
'Cause
to
you-
her.
Back. Okay, I'm like, when I got back,
Yeah, because when you get back, it's not
Let her
only
answer this, Ken.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's so hard.
That's why I want you to answer it.
Can we come back to that question?
So what were some of the things you did as a MA?
For the most part, 14-hour shifts. You're
Okay.
controlling the access of what's coming on to base and what's leaving base. You're around a bunch of, I don't even want to say assets, but you just have to be aware of your surroundings 24/7.
Yeah,
But like
that
I
sounds
said,
pretty
as
hard.
far as
14-hour shifts.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think whenever you're, doing like patrols around the base and just making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, and dealing with locals and
Okay. When you get around
Foreigners.
to answering my,
I don't know what was difficult for me returning. I would just say maybe realizing that I did change as a person and that it's okay to be a different person, because some people aren't okay with the new you or a different version of you. So maybe that was probably the one thing that I dealt with
Did
that was
you
the most
think-
difficult.
did you think your change was positive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's great.
But not everyone can view it as positive.
But those people you shouldn't give a what about.
But does that make sense? I hope it.
It makes a lot of sense. You're changing. You've changed because of an experience. You've learned a lot.
Right.
You're a different person as a result.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that don't appreciate that, probably folks you don't need anyway.
Did the work for me.
Yeah, that's that's very important. This is a very interesting thing here. We have, the folks who do these things and go off, and we certainly commend them.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets to a point where, the VA has a lot of programs in place to help veterans move back into civilian life. We know about the Wounded Warrior workshops. Did you find anything, since you were a different person, Brianna, did you go to any of the things that were offered by the VA?
So actually, the last week of the deployment, there's a warrior transition program that we have to be a part of in Germany for about a week and a half. And the whole purpose of that program is to allow us to voice, not necessarily just our opinions, but what was the things that we dealt with when we were deployed. What are some things that we would like to change when dealing with leadership, dealing with being away from your family and your friends. And so I think that was probably the best thing that I experienced while being deployed, because it was the time for me to be transparent with the people that I had been deployed with for so long. And it wasn't just people that were deployed it wasn't just me and the people that I was deployed with. They were also, Army, Marines from Afghanistan, Iraq, et cetera. So, and then as far as the resources that are available, after you get back from your deployment, I mean, there weren't any that I needed to use, but there's always workshops that you can attend if you
Sure.
feel like you want to. I just haven't done any because I feel like I don't need them in this moment of my life. But in the future, if I do,
So what are
They're
you
there.
what are you doing now?
Are you back at work or?
yes. But I thought you guys already knew that. No?
I just want
Okay.
to make sure our people know it. We've
I'm
been
sorry.
talking for we've been talking for half an
Yes,
hour.
I actually took 2 months off when I returned back to the States, and then
Okay.
I started working back at this, my same job.
Great. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry, I thought you guys already knew that.
No, that's great. I just want to make sure our listeners know that. So I just think it's great. I know I will never forget people I served with.
Yes.
Without a doubt, a lot of them are, no longer with us. But the people you serve with in difficult times, people you never forget.
Right.
Makes a big difference. Ken, help us out.
Well, I'm just so happy to have her back. I've been
Yeah.
trying to catch up with her since she got back in. What?
Yeah.
How long you been back now, Briani? You
Since
said
May.
May. Yeah.
She's still
I'm
new.
just seeing her now in September.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
giving
But
her a hard
as far
time.
as-
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wants to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say, as far as me returning back to work, that was a very smooth process for me.
Okay, good.
My job was very supportive of me being gone. They sent
good.
me a bunch of care packages
Oh,
while I was
wonderful.
gone. They made sure that my pay was taken care of.
Beautiful.
They were very supportive.
I always remember
really
when I was
good.
in the service, the best
Yes.
thing you had during the day was a mail call.
Yes. And I always
Everybody's
had
looking
mail.
for something. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly want to say congratulations, Miss Briani Bell.
Thank you.
It's so great for you to be here. And Ken, great to see you, of course.
thank you.
Absolutely. And this is just a great thing. This is America's Heroes Group. This is the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.